Vote 2024. Political observers and many others are watching what's next with former President Trump's campaign following a ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court that he cannot appear on that state's ballot. In a 4-3 decision, that court determined Mr. Trump engaged in an insurrection on January 6, 2021, and under the court's interpretation of the 14th Amendment, he is disqualified from seeking office, including the presidency. If upheld, this decision would have far-reaching legal and political consequences. News4JAX reporter Scott Johnson has been talking with experts in both fields and is joining us now with what they're saying. Scott?
Well, Tom, there are multiple questions here. Whether the U.S. Supreme Court will take this case, how soon they will, and if other states will follow Colorado's lead. The headline shocked the political world yesterday evening when the Colorado Supreme Court ruled former President Donald Trump cannot appear on the 2024 ballot. This sets up a likely showdown at the U.S. Supreme Court as Trump's lawyers immediately appeal.
I mean, I think Trump's campaign people have already said we're taking this to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has discretion. They obviously don't take everything that's brought to them. I think they...
But you think this one very well could be?
I think absolutely this one, because it's such a question of national importance.
I spoke with Belkis Plata, a defense lawyer, along with other legal experts. There are a few issues the nation's highest court will review. First, whether the president is a government officer. The 14th Amendment does not name the president as someone who can specifically be disqualified for insurrection. Also, whether the U.S. Supreme Court feels it needs to weigh in due to this being a U.S. constitutional issue. Plata also says this deals with the issue of the federal government weighing in on how states run their elections.
The federal Constitution gives the states power to control time, manner, and place of their own elections. And Colorado has interpreted their own law consistent with the federal law to say we have the decision, we can make the decisions here for our own state.
There are also major political ramifications. Seth Warner is a political science expert from the University of North Florida.
Colorado's not as much of a swing state, but could you see this happening in other states?
I can certainly see political actors pushing for it. Politics often plays out in the courts. Whether this could happen in battleground states to the extent that it would affect the election, that's not something I know of. I'm a little bit skeptical that it would happen.
If Trump is unsuccessful at the Supreme Court or however this battle plays out, do you foresee that people could just write in his name? Because obviously he's the candidate. He's going to have a tremendous amount of support.
Yeah, people could absolutely write in his name. And I imagine that he would be almost as successful as any write-in candidate in history. But when the name is not on the ballot, vote share drops significantly.
Warner points out this court ruling could have a similar effect in the Republican primary that the indictments against Trump did. It caused a rallying effect among his GOP base, and his poll numbers went up. But he's not sure that would continue into the general election.
Scott, the Colorado court stayed their decision until January 4th, but under Colorado law, their primary ballot has to be printed by January 5th. Is there any indication the U.S. Supreme Court could rule that soon?
There's not. A lot of people are speculating the court might do it in time before early January, but we're dealing with the holidays. And there's other court procedures that might happen. People might file other appeals that we're not expecting yet. So really no one really knows the answer. We're kind of in a gray area up until early January when we really get an idea of how this will progress.
Scott, thank you.